we are introduced to an energetic young boy named Tio who has a mischievous nature. He is outside playing soccer with his pals, having the time of his life in the yard after school. In his imagination, he's none other than the legendary Diego Maradona, his greatest idol. One of his friends completes his homework for him in exchange for a chance to play on his Game Boy. After the thrilling match, Tio dashes home with sheer delight in his heart. Meanwhile, his older brother, Oscar, is introduced as being very serious. Oscar is focused on their mother's research. Their mother, a scientist, disappeared years ago under mysterious circumstances. She was investigating something as staggering as wormholes in space and time. Oscar tenderly feeds his pet turtle, the one and only Pepe, before preparing dinner for his brother. At this very moment, Tio executes a clever scheme, sneaking into his room through the window. He must avoid Oscar discovering he was playing outdoors instead of studying. Oscar, always the responsible one, inspects Tio's homework and then gently cares for a small scrape on his knee. The two boys are being raised by their grandmother, their only remaining immediate family member. Oscar is driven by a fierce resolve to find their mother, so he studies her research with intense concentration. He holds a deep conviction that she became ensnared inside one of the very time wormholes she was investigating. His greatest ambition is to become a scientist just like her and valiantly bring her back home. Tio, however, mentions a crushing piece of gossip he heard from a neighbor, and it is truly agonizing. The rumor suggests their mom simply left with a married co-worker, a deeply hurtful notion. Oscar fervently tries to convince him that it is false, making a solemn promise to find her once he deciphers her intricate research. Later that evening, Oscar is listening to music when his grandmother comes in, whistling their family signal. They share a beautifully sincere heart-to-heart talk, and she asks him not to be upset with Tio for his marvelously fun-loving spirit. The next day, Oscar listens to stories from the local shopkeeper. Suddenly, the man's daughter, Elena, approaches, and the moment Oscar sees her is simply stunning. He is totally captivated by her presence. It is love at first sight. She asks him to a dance rehearsal for an upcoming festival. But shy, sweet Oscar declines, attempting to hide his powerful emotions for her. Later, Oscar coincidentally spots Elena once more. This time, she is with a group of friends that includes his brother, Tio. She extends another lovely offer, this time to go to the movies together. But Tio, in a moment of misguided interference, jumps in and claims Oscar is far too busy. Feeling deeply wounded, Oscar tells their grandmother about how Tio always sneaks out the window to play. That evening, the grandmother catches Tio climbing back in through the window. The following day, with the house to himself, Tio takes an unexpected action. He grabs the final, most crucial folder of their mom's research and starts making paper airplanes from the pages. This action, though unintentional, has potentially serious consequences. He also uncovers her final photograph and a curious set of coordinates. He carefully slips the cherished photo into his pocket for safekeeping. Just then, Oscar returns home, and the tension is instantly thick. Tio hastily stuffs the paper airplanes back into the folder, a frantic effort to hide his actions. There is no time to conceal the coordinate sheet, so he cleverly places it inside a random encyclopedia. Tio then overhears Oscar talking to his turtle Pepe, and his words are truly heart-rending. Oscar is confessing just how deeply he misses their mom, and it is a moment of raw emotion. Moved by this, Tio sets out to find the location from her final photograph. The location is the rooftop of a building near their house. While sitting there, he casually eats a banana and discards the peel off the edge. But what happens next is something completely unexpected. Instead of falling, the peel drops into a luminous spinning vortex of sheer energy, making an electric sound. He is utterly astonished and peers down into the most remarkable spectacle. He tosses his roller skates next, and they too disappear into the radiant chasm. He is completely stunned, but also filled with a surge of immense thrill. He tosses in a few more items, and every single one vanishes without a trace. He races home, his heart pounding, to share this astounding finding with Oscar. But Oscar has just found the paper airplanes, and he is enraged about the ruined research. They get into a serious fight. Tio frantically attempts to explain about the wormhole, but their argument is cut short by their grandmother. Tired of their bickering, she punishes them both. Oscar, feeling betrayed, faults Tio for everything and speaks only to Pepe, utterly disregarding his brother. In a moment of sheer impulsive retaliation, Tio does the unthinkable. He grabs poor innocent Pepe and tosses him directly into the wormhole. Shah! Back at home, he sees Oscar searching frantically for his cherished companion, and the weight of his action hits him like a ton of bricks. That night, overcome with remorse, Tio climbs out the window and returns to the rooftop. He bravely musters his courage and makes the bravest choice of his life. He jumps in to rescue Pepe. The wormhole hurls him a staggering 33 years into the future. He finds Pepe safe, nestled in a nearby bush. Carrying the turtle, Tio deftly sneaks back into what he believes is his home. He carefully places Pepe back where he belongs and quietly slips into his old bed. The events of the next morning cause confusion and shock. An adult Oscar, now with a beard, walks right past Tio without even recognizing him. Oscar heads to the local shop, which is still run by the same owner from 33 years ago. Before leaving, Oscar sees Elena, who was home for a holiday, and he is once again left totally lost for words. She is now a mathematician, while he has become a physics professor at the university. After he departs, her father tells her the story of Oscar's difficult life. He lost his mother, then his younger brother, and now he cares for their grandmother, who is developing dementia. It is also revealed that Elena is recently divorced. Meanwhile, Tio awakens in his childhood bed. Oscar has kept their room exactly as it was. Tio picks up Pepe, eager to show Oscar he found his pet, but instead encounters their grandmother, who is now quite elderly. When Oscar comes back, his grandmother shows him the turtle, and then he spots his brother. The shock is so profound, so completely staggering, that Oscar faints on the spot. Tio is thoroughly bewildered, asking why his grandmother appears so aged and who this strange bearded man is. He looks at the television and is perplexed by its sleek design, unable to locate any buttons. When Oscar regains consciousness, he delivers the most stunning news. It is the year 2022. He then reveals that he is Tio's brother, and the understanding finally strikes Tio that he has traveled through time. Oscar immediately inquires about the wormhole, and Tio decides to have a little fun with him. He playfully reminds Oscar that he tried to tell him all those years ago, but he refused to listen. Tio presents him with the photograph of their mother standing right beside that very wormhole. He then guides his amazed brother to the precise spot on the rooftop. Tio tosses a stone at the vortex, but it simply bounces harmlessly off the surface. Oscar understands that it is now the exit of the wormhole. Returning through it is impossible. They must find another path to the year 1989. Downstairs, Oscar discovers the roller skates from the past. He takes a picture of them with his smartphone, and Tio is completely fascinated by the device. Oscar explains that the device is a phone, camera, and music player. Later, a big question lingers, and Oscar finally asks how Pepe ended up in the wormhole in the first place. The truth is revealed, and Oscar realizes with horror that Tio intentionally threw his cherished turtle in. They attempt to explain the situation to Oscar's boss, who thinks they are not sane. When they arrive home, they find a young woman named Camilla who occasionally helps care for their grandmother. Tio introduces himself as Diego Armando, the name of his hero Maradona. Camila then shares the crushing news that Maradona passed away recently, leaving Tio in utter shock. Later, Oscar is trying to decipher their mother's methods when Tio asks about the set of coordinates. Tio suddenly recalls hiding it in an encyclopedia, and they begin a desperate search. Oscar has to explain that people no longer use encyclopedias because of something called Wikipedia. Their grandmother then adds that she gave all the old books to the grocery store owner. The next morning, Oscar tells Tio to remain at home while he goes to the shop, but Tio has other plans. He immediately ventures out to explore this strange new world and discovers a virtual reality headset. He accidentally breaks several items, costing Oscar 1,200 euros. They finally go to the grocery store, where the owner remarks how much the boy resembles the missing Tio. Oscar quickly concocts a story about him being a cousin, and then Elena approaches. Tio instantly recognizes her and frankly tells her how beautiful she has become. They all go to her home, where they meet her children, Alba and Pablo. While Oscar searches for the encyclopedia, Tio sits with the kids, totally mystified by a Nintendo Switch. Alba is perplexed by his lack of knowledge, asking what cave he just emerged from. Suddenly, something incredible happens when Elena figures out Tio's true identity. She hears him quoting a famous football commentator, the very same words he used to say as a child. She calls out his real name, Tio, and he reflexively answers, confirming everything. Overcome with emotion, she pulls him into a huge, heartfelt hug. Tio reveals the story about the wormhole his mother discovered. They show her the wormhole's exit, and Oscar demonstrates how it pushes objects away. Elena finally realizes that Oscar was correct all along, while everyone else believed he had lost his sanity. She starts helping him with his calculations, and as they work together, they grow closer. Tio overhears Oscar and Elena talking about him. Oscar envisions a different life where Tio never vanished, one where Tio was courageous enough to confess his love for her. Hearing this, Tio makes a wrenching decision to return to his time at once to repair Oscar's past. He quietly copies the first coordinates he sees and persuades Alba and Pablo to take him there. They find a new wormhole by the seaside, and to prove it is real, Tio courageously jumps in. Alba and Pablo feel they have no choice but to jump in after him. They arrive on a shore in a different time. The year is 1949, not 1989. They have been sent to the incorrect time, which complicates the situation. To earn money for food, they perform on the street using Alba's Bluetooth earphones to fake psychic abilities. They are then taken by a mysterious man who turns out to be part of a secret guerrilla resistance. He guides them to a hidden camp where they see an unexpected sight. Tio recognizes a young woman in the camp. It is his own grandmother, Maria, in her younger days. Back in 2022, Oscar and Elena realize the children are missing and see the altered photograph on the wall, a stunning hint. The photo now displays the year 1949, and they know exactly where and when the children are. They courageously hold hands and leap through time together on a desperate rescue mission. They arrive in 1949 and are guided to the camp for a tearful, joyous reunion. Oscar and Tio have an emotional conversation about returning to 1989. Tio wants to remain in the future, but Oscar confesses how shattered he was after Tio vanished and how much he needs him back. On their way out, they encounter a charming young man who flirts with their young grandmother. It is their grandfather. They bring pastries he baked back to 2022, and the familiar taste sparks their grandmother's memory. The brothers share one final powerful hug before Tio courageously returns to his own timeline. Back in 1989, a young Oscar sees his brother on the street and rushes to him crying with sheer relief. Tio proves his unbelievable journey was real by showing Oscar the smartphone he brought from the future. He explains that their mother did not desert them. She is simply lost in time, and Oscar must continue studying to save her. Tio also tells him he must avoid Elena for now to protect her future. 2 decades later, the brothers are adults, living together and playing video games. Tio has a son named Diego, and their grandmother is joyful and well. Tio has a son named Diego, and their grandmother is joyful and well. Elena, newly divorced, returns to town, and Tio invites her over. Oscar freezes when he hears she is arriving, but after a lifetime of waiting, he finally goes to welcome her.